Welcome to the show, Hospitality Influences by Raj Hospitality. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting Sri Sanjeev Nair, the hotelier drawn by passion. I'm honored to have you with us today, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, Raj.
I'm so happy that you could make it today, in spite of your busy schedule. Thank you very much, sir.
No, thank you. I think I would like to thank you for organizing this episode as part of your ongoing series of Hoteliers Influence. And it's indeed a pleasure to be part of today's discussion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So I just, dear viewers, I would like to have a small profile of Mr. Sanjeev Nair. I just read out for all of you. Mr. Sanjeev K. Nair, an accomplished hotel industry professional with over 35 years of diverse experience in projects, operations, business planning, and team management, has recently retired as the head of Welcome Heritage Hotel. Welcome Heritage Hotel, as many of us know, that is a brand established in 1997, jointly by ITC Hotels Limited and His Highness Maharaja Gaj Singh Ji of Marwar, Jodhpur, starting with 12 properties. The group now comprises of about 40 prime heritage places, palaces, forts, havelis, resorts all over India, and continue to grow, promoting India's heritage and culture and cuisine. So that's something very, very amazing. A graduate from the Hotel College, University of Belgrade, he began his career with the ITC Hotels, Ashoka. Mr. Nair has had a privilege of being handpicked member for the most prestigious catering teams operating at Vigyan Bhavan and Hyderabad House. During the tenures in different cities such as Guwahati, Bangalore, Hassan, Aurangabad, Bhopal, he was actively involved in the tourism committees to deliberate and contribute of enhancing the tourism capabilities of varied locations. During his recent stint at Welcome Heritage Corporate Office at Delhi as the General Manager, Operations and Quality, he was instrumental in creating the SOPs and other systems and procedures for the brand, and thereafter focusing on to business development, improving the distribution through technology. He was entrusted with the role of overall responsibility of brand in January 2019, from where he retired. A firm believer of adapting technology to enhance guest experience and ease operations without undermining the importance of the soft skill. A hotelier driven by passion. That's amazing. In fact, there are many more things to read about him, but as we are running short of time, so thank you, sir. It was really amazing to have you with us again, because going through your profile with the kind of experience what you have gone through, it is going to be really, wonderful example. They can learn a lot. The youngsters can learn a lot from you from today, sir.
Thank you once again.
So can we go ahead with your small questionnaire, sir?
Yeah, please.
So please tell us about how you started the hospitality industry. Was it just an accident? You're passionate about it, and your journey in the hospitality industry.
You see, I was driven by, I would say, glamour, because hospitality industry is glamour. I'm talking about 3 decades earlier. I think large chandeliers, large hotels. You're in awe of, getting things, what's happening in these high ceiling lobbies and glass and immaculate furniture and services. And in 1984, I graduated from the Hotel Management School in University of Belgrade, Yugoslavia, and I joined the Ashok Group of Hotels, ITDC, as a management trainee. I think during the course of over 2 years of management training program, the operational departments and obviously the back of the house. And I must admit that this was the founding years, and it laid the foundation for me at least, in the coming years in the hospitality industry. The training which was imparted has been instrumental, I must say, in the progress which I have made in my career. You see, from handling VVIP caterings, head of states, banquets of the heads of states, prime minister and presidents in Vigyan Bhavan, and Hyderabad House, to pre-opening of food counters and cafes in the late 80s, then being the HOD of various food and beverage departments and accommodation, and being entrusted with the responsibility of general manager of hotels. I looked after 3 hotels independently of the Ashok Group of Hotels. And later I moved on to ITC, and where I was deputed to Welcome Heritage. And I was in charge of a property in Bhopal. And in 2006 or 7, I think I moved to Delhi to the role of at the corporate office. And in 2019, I was given the responsibility to head the brand. And I must say that, it has been indeed a rewarding journey for me.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. It's really wonderful. I can understand the way, you're talking about. I can understand the way you have groomed yourself and the way you have been into those journeys. So thank you very much. So from a man's point of view, what is your take on women in the hospitality industry, especially in India, availability of leadership roles, the gender bias, glass ceiling, and how do you think that things have changed now?
You see, all of us have seen that the lady of the house has been managing the household affairs in a very systematic and a very organized manner. I remember that in our childhood, we have seen it our mother, how she used to handle us. Maybe a family of 4 or 5 people, take care of all the chores of the household. And today we see it in our spouses, that how they have been so, how do they manage their finances, their budgets, their menus, the foods, their kitchens, the housekeeping, everything. You see, it's managing a hotel, managing a small room. If somebody has inbuilt instincts, I must say, or the traits, then it naturally comes to them. And I think they have this inborn instincts, inborn personalities. When I joined the industry in '84, one had seen women workforce primarily in, I should say, front office, housekeeping, sales and marketing. I think these were the areas where you could see women workforce. At that time, maybe you could see, okay, all ladies will be executive housekeepers. There were no male housekeepers.
Yes.
In reception, you should more of the receptionist, maybe some level at lobby manager or something. But I think it's in 86, 87, or maybe 3 decades earlier, I should say, there was a transformation where we see the women workforce coming into the F&B departments. There were no lady chefs when I joined the industry.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember my batch of management trainees, they were ladies, but nobody was interested in kitchen. I think it was batch later, 1 or 2 batches later, that people were interested in becoming a chef. But now today, see, there are so many lady chefs. And over the period, I think the industry also has evolved. And since they were part of the industry per se, right from beginning, I think there was not too much bias. They have been able to, today you see ladies in the role of a general manager heading hotel companies, I would say. I think Lalit Suri Group and Priya Paul Group are great examples where women are at the threshold of the hotelier group. So I think the industry has evolved, and there has been a general acceptance of the women workforce.
Thank you, sir. I think it's a wonderful answer from you, and I think I always felt that because women, it's equal. There is nothing like men and women. Whoever is having talent, whoever want to really do something better, they can always move on. So thank you, sir. How can we encourage youngsters today pursuing, the career in the hospitality industry in this particular moment when things are in a bad, or maybe once everything is clear? So what do you suggest, like how the youngsters can pursue this?
See, tourism in the Indian context is one of the largest economical multipliers in India. It nearly contributes 10% of the GDP. And I think if I remember figures correctly, as of last year, 4.2 crore jobs were created in the tourism sector in India, which is a huge number, which amounts to about nearly 8% of the total employment in the country. But that's a huge, huge number. Unfortunately, today, the industry, which was booming till, I should say, February, March, has gone down, And it's very unfortunate that we all over the world, this pandemic has struck and it's taken a toll. The hospitality industry is the first to be hit and the last to revive, because everything depends on how people travel or how people behave. But nevertheless, I think it's a matter of time that it will bounce back. Maybe 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line, I think things will turn. They have to turn normal. Anything which goes down has to come up. So it's a matter of time that this come up. That also says that the travel and tourism industry, encompasses several types of job, ranging from service position to executive titles. We have seen that in a hotel itself, there are different job levels. And the industry you see now, how it is, the travel industry is there, the aviation industry is there. Part of the entire travel air industry, I should say. There are a lot of jobs available. You see, there are typical tasks that can vary. They generally require good customer service skills and the ability to communicate and work well with others. There's no isolation. Nobody works in isolation in a hotel. It has to be a teamwork. It is this question of survival of the fittest, especially in today's time, when organizations move from the current regime to a leaner regime, leaner management. There will be till the time the normalcy returns. So maybe it could be a year from now. So there has to be an era where, have an agile workforce. You have to be agile. You have to be more flexible workers. which you can adapt to and respond to the business needs of the hotel or the industry where you work from. I feel that instead of viewing this as a crisis, I think any youngster, or whether employed or unemployed, has to get through, focus on the growth and self-transformation during this time.
Yes.
I think it is very important for them to do a self-SWOT, do a self-risk, SWOT analysis, Are you, today, the technology has taken a forefront in the industry. I don't think we, as, veterans in the industry, thought that maybe in the month of March, that when the work from home culture came in, that there'll be meetings over Zoom and Google and webinars. I don't think I had ever foreseen. I am sure none of us had foreseen. But yes, it was a situation which happened. And you were forced to adapt it. Otherwise, you would have been left out.
Absolutely.
It was something like you push somebody in a swimming pool, tying his hands, now suddenly you swim. So you had to swim. The people have been today, work from home culture has become popular. It has shown that it has become more productive because you are available maybe 14 hours a day. In office, it's 9 to 6, but here you're available 14 hours a day. So I think it all just depends on what kind of tech solutions are you have knowledge of. It's very important to keep abreast yourself. How will your skill help the hotel business? This is the time where you can expand and enhance your skills, because that's where the organization is moving forward. If you don't have to be, worried about I know it's very easy to say worried about the environment today, but I think it's a matter of time that, you will have to come down. Today, even the event management, there are a lot of services available, as for example, event management, which has come in a big way. Yes, today we can say there are restrictions on events, but these restrictions are then for a momentarily purpose. They will go. Similarly, the MICE segment. So there's lots of things which today are, I should say, not happening because of various reasons, but I'm sure it is going to happen. And then I think it's the first and foremost is that you have time to enhance and expand your skills.
I think very right answer, because rather than you feel that something has been lost, and you have so much of time as earlier days, because I'm sure that we would have not spent so much of time with the family also. So we have so much of time to, talk to them, understand. Things will definitely change. So thank you, sir. And
you see, there used to be an issue, work-life balance.
Absolutely.
People used to say there's no work-life balance. So work from home to some extent has also brought that work-life balance.
Absolutely.
And at all levels, Raj. It is not only at all levels, wherever you have to, and it has also self-empowered the employee.
Correct. Very good.
You have been able to take a decision across the table. Earlier in an office setup, maybe you had to ask 4 people. But today, if somebody is asking you in a meeting, you have to give an answer.
Very true. So your role being the General Manager of Welcome Heritage, can you highlight few palaces, havelis that fascinated you, and why does this fascinated you?
You see, as you said it by the initial opening remark, you already spoke about Welcome Heritage. It's a joint venture of ITC Limited, formed in 1997. I think that's the time the heritage, which is in the country, is so rich. India is incredible, real incredible. And the uniqueness of the country is that each state has its own heritage. So this company was formed to promote local art, craft, culture, cuisine, and craftsmanship. Because each state has a different culture, each state has a different cuisine, each state has a different craftsmanship. So the whole idea of bringing this company was that how could you sell this not only to the Indian domestic traveler, but how to sell it to the international traveler. I think the philosophy was that in identifying heritage properties and locations and helps to market them. This is the largest chain of heritage hotels in India, which offered exclusive, affordable, boutique heritage experience, woven in the culture of the bygone era, keeping in mind the local traditions and flavors in mind. So every heritage hotel, if you see, offered all attributes of a memorable holiday, giving an opportunity to carry all that is extraordinary. And I think one more thing which is unique about heritage is that it's not like a matchbox kind of a hotel, where you have identical room size, identical design of the rooms, and identical color schemes. No two heritage properties are identical. And furthermore, no two rooms in the heritage property are identical. Because they were never created to be part of the hotel.
Correct.
Either they were either palaces, forts, or havelis, which were purely meant for the residential business, residential purpose of the owners. It is later that once the heritage movement took place, that these called palaces and heritage buildings got converted into hotels.
Was there
And welcome heritage.
Sorry, please,
Sorry.
Please go ahead.
No,
please.
please.
No,
No, please carry on.
The Welcome Heritage was invested something on the Havelis, on only marketing and sales.
No, Welcome Heritage is a brand which used to only provide marketing and franchise support.
Okay. No investment.
No investments.
Okay.
The whole purpose was that, all these properties, all the owners are either erstwhile Maharajas or Rajputs.
Yeah.
And they're very emotionally connected with these properties.
Correct.
So they never would want to part their ways. So the company thought that there is a space to upgrade their standards by providing them operational support and market them, so that the locals as well as the domestic tourism as well as the international tourists would come and experience their stays there.
Very good, sir. Very good. Well,
and Heritage has got great properties, like in Jodhpur, you have a 36-room property, which is in, sprawling 60 acres of green area. This has got a 9-hole golf course. So I think in today's time, if you see, they are naturally suitable to the new normal, what you call.
Correct.
Because 36 rooms in such a huge area, there's no open, all the corridors are open. There's no, social distancing comes naturally to it. They're all drivable distances. So there are a lot of properties, and they offer, each and every property offers a great experience, unique experience. Be it the first heritage village in the country in Paragpur, activities like nature walks, jungle safaris, kite flying, turban tying. So there means each property, each location has a different story to tell, I must say.
Well, I think I'm also, because being in Delhi for so many years, because palaces are always my passion, but I was always unlucky that I could not work for any palaces. But I think there's always a fascination for me to see that I work for some palace group. But I think you're very lucky. Because see, when you enter, you automatically start feeling that, that old era, the Rajas and those kind of things. So that's what fascinates me. Thank you, sir. What change would you like to see in the hospitality education?
Well, if you ask me, I think there has to be more practical approach.
Correct.
In the syllabus which is taught. More on-site classes or assignments, which are something which should be inculcated in the curriculum. Correct. You see, because we are a service-oriented industry, and you cannot teach this in confines of a room, Okay, I do understand that's important to understand the basics of the hospitality management, because it's a vast subject. But I think practical hands-on approach is the key to this area. Today, keeping in mind the dependence on technology is the way it's increasing, leaps and bounds. Emphasis on skills. Technological skills also should be an integral part of the industry and the workforce today.
Have you faced, when you observe people, the new youngsters coming in, so what kind of changes you think that they should adopt as far as the hospitality industry is concerned, apart from their education?
No, I think besides the education, there is a saying, your attitude decides your altitude. What is your attitude on the job? You may have great knowledge, great skill, but if your attitude does not speak, it does not deliver that kind of a customer experience to a customer who is your king, who is God, Atithi Deva Bhava, how we treat our guests. So if you are not able to, judge his or deliver him to his expectation, I think all skill and knowledge goes down the drain. So I think your attitude at the job decides your attitude. I firmly believe in that.
I agree. I totally agree with you, sir. Thank you. Do you think it is possible to make sustainability compatible with cost-effective measures and improved quality of service in the tourism industry?
Yes, for sure. I think sustainability is the way forward. You see, sustainable practices are built into the hotels, in the design phase itself, so that enabling such hotels to be economically embedded. it's very important and very easy to, for a new project to come, to imbibe all these new technologies which are available today, so that in the longer run, they run operationally, they are much more beneficial. It's very difficult for a running hotel to adapt this, because sometimes it requires, a lot of infrastructural changes, which becomes difficult, no matter even the owner or the company is willing to do it. So now if you see the new hotels which are coming up, I think everybody is waking up to the environment crisis which we are in. So there are a lot of things which I can, elaborate, like, use of recycled materials, ash bricks, for example, concrete blocks, which are auto-caved aerated ones, which naturally helps in, aeration of the, and raises the insulation of the building, and then besides this, the cost of construction also comes down by using these bricks. They're 20% cheaper than the normal clay bricks. Correct. The high LDO roof ceilings reduces the amount of heat absorbed. There are a lot of paints which are available, which you can paint on the rooftops, where 90% of the visible and infrared radiations are, away from the building. So this reduces the surface temperature by nearly 20 to 25 degrees temperature, which in result reduces your air conditioning cost.
Absolutely.
Running, operating. So, there are a lot of technology available. Solar energy. Solar energy, the way it has come up. In fact, in most of the residential areas now, and I believe also in some commercial establishments, the government has made it mandatory that you have to have some kind of solar energy and rainwater harvesting. Because I think these are natural resources, and solar energy is available to us in abundance.
Correct.
We are a country where there's so much of sun. So why not to convert that into energy? Why shouldn't we do rainwater harvesting? There are hotels which use 100% recycling of rainwater. These are very small things, but when it comes to operations, it gives a very multiplying effect to your bottom line. Similarly, recycling of water. I remember when we joined the industry, recycling of water was only to garden to water the plants in the garden. But today, technologies are available, treatment of bacteria is available, that this recycled water is pumped back into your WCs, only in the WCs.
Correct.
So you are basically kind of, reducing your dependence on the groundwater. Because today, everybody knows, fortunately, that water is going to be a scarcity. It's a matter of time. People say there's going to be next world war is going to be fought on water. I don't know.
Absolutely.
But yes, but I think there are challenges available. Then, how do you use motion sensors, motion lights, that the moment you are into the room, the light is on. The moment you come out of the room, the lights get switched off. We have seen motion sensor taps. We have seen urinals, in airports and other things. These are all small things which are, helping in reducing your dependence on the natural resources. Then another one important aspect of sustainability should be, use of kitchen gardens.
Oh, yes.
It also promotes that culture of farm to plate. You are not buying from outside, you're not importing it. And I think large hotels have space where they can, have their own homegrown spices or, exquisite vegetables. The quality is better and its uses, so how do you use natural lights in your buildings? So these are small things which are there, Similarly, the way the CFC-free air conditioning systems have come in. So I think overall, yes, sustainable is the way forward.
Thank you, sir. I think it's a wonderful answer, and many people can maybe even note down the point what you have said. My almost last question to you is that what will be your advice to the young generation of hospitality and tourism industry? You have already said certain things, but then maybe what exactly they should focus on?
You see, I think attitude is definitely one, which you should be, this thing. And I would say one has to believe in oneself. That's very important.
The confidence.
You see, unfortunately, today we are in such a situation that nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow or day after tomorrow or 2 months, 3 months down the line. But I just give you, I know I just talk to people. I said, do not undermine yourself.
Absolutely.
You have certain capabilities, abilities. I'll just give you an example of 500 rupees note. You take out a crisp 500 rupees note from an ATM. You crumple it, keep it in your pocket. Use it after 3 days, 4 days, 6 days. the value of that note remains 500. That doesn't change.
Absolutely.
So if you believe in yourself, then I don't think you have to, be at any point of time, worry about things. Stay away from negativity. There's a lot of negative. Unfortunately, the the digital media today, there's so much of information, of bombardment of information that, there's a lot of positive as well as negative news which is spreading it. I think best is to keep away from negative news and see how you can, take this time to enhance your skills. A lot of courses are available online today, which was not the case maybe 20 years down the line or even 10 years down the line earlier. So you have a lot of opportunities within the ecosystem available to enhance your skills and come out of this. It's a hard-working industry. Yes, you need to put on, I think, long hours, but I think that's hard work always pays.
Absolutely. I think that's wonderful, talking to you, sir, because a lot of, I could also maybe take some points from your, discussion. I always felt because, today's youngsters, because that's some of the most important part, as you rightly said, was the attitude. People don't have patience today. So that's the most, the problem what I found. The patience is very, very important because as you rightly said, things are going to definitely change, but unless until you're going to continuously put your effort, just aaj aapne beej bol diya and you expect a reap tomorrow, it is not going to happen. So
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
So
there's certain things that slow and steady wins the race. So these are, I think, all practical aspects of life. And you should be, as a youngster, should be able to, imbibe yourself. Today, unfortunately or fortunately, you have so much of, you're open to the world, which was not the case maybe 20 years earlier. It was a closed world. Today, the world is open. Your information processes are very fast. Information bombardment is happening, On one thing, you have 10 different news items. You don't know what to believe or not to believe. So I think if you have your own self under control, I think it's a matter of time these things will pass. There is a lot of peer pressure. I do understand amongst youngsters, but yes, you need to be patient to get to your result. You should, if you have defined your goal in your mind, you should be patient to get through it. Work towards it. I'm sure you'll be successful.
Thank you, sir, and lots of good luck to your new project also. And when I'm in Delhi, I'll come see you. You're in Delhi now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Delhi.
Fine. So when I come down, I'll definitely meet you. Thank you very much for your valuable time. And it was really very short, but very sweet. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Raj. All the best. Thank you.